Welcome. I'm Dr. Sharon Wallace Williams, and it's my honor to serve as the Director of the Division of Speech and Hearing. It was approximately 2 years ago that we targeted the date of 10/10/2020 to celebrate our division's 50th anniversary. That decision was the first decision we made. Since that time, we've lived through much, and we continue to live through much. So much uncertainty, so much unrest and discord in the world, so much confusion, pivoting, innovating, so much effort to maintain our excellent degree programs and to maintain our physical and emotional health. Wow, it's been a lot, and it still is a lot. But in the midst of it all, I am privileged, and it's my great honor to welcome you to this celebration of 50 years of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. Now, it's actually been 51 years since the start of the division, but we thought we would target the 50th anniversary of the first graduating cohort in 1970. And that brings us to this 10/10/2020 event, an event that gives us an opportunity to celebrate our history. Now, within any 50-year period, some great things have happened, some good things have happened, some not so good things have happened, and some devastating things have happened. But we pause this evening to acknowledge all of them. The not so good, the devastating, the good, and the great. In our day-to-day lives, we work, we plan, we envision, all focused on maintaining and sustaining a culture of excellence for our degree programs. For our undergraduate minor in speech and hearing, for our Masters of Science in Speech Language Pathology, for our Doctorate of Audiology, and for our PhD program. In addition, for our Hearing and Communication Center. Equally important to a culture of excellence, we focus and strive to maintain a culture of inclusion and belonging. For all who are currently affiliated with our programs and those who will affiliate with us in the future. It takes and it will continue to take all of us working together to build and maintain this culture of excellence and belonging for all. You have supported us in the past, and I request your continued support in the present and in the future. I thank you for all you have done and for all you will do. It is my hope that you're finding great joy and purpose in your careers, in your studies, or in your retirement. I'm so glad you're here to celebrate with us. Dr. Steve Hooper, Associate Dean and Chair of the Department of Allied Health, will speak next. But before he does, I raise my glass. Here's to you, and here's to our Division of Speech and Hearing. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, for the kind introduction and for allowing me the opportunity to share a few thoughts on this momentous occasion. I also want to give my sincere appreciation to the 50th Anniversary Planning Committee for their innovative thinking with respect to pulling off this event under all of the current circumstances. Well done. The 50th anniversary is a special point in time and also is referred to as the Golden Anniversary or the Golden Jubilee. Outside of being a special time point, what does a 50th anniversary imply? 50 years indicates a major landmark in a person's life, a key marker in a long relationship, or the enduring nature of a business or, in this instance, an educational program. A 50th anniversary is a rare occasion and marks a half century of togetherness, commitment, and strength. To honor the situation, you can request a personal greeting from the President of the United States, who actually will send you a card. But he's a little busy right now, so we did not do that. The typical gift for a 50th anniversary is gold. Why gold? Because it historically is believed to reflect optimism, strength, and wealth. Indeed, the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences is reflective of all of these attributes, and quite frankly, more. A key point of tonight is to celebrate the past 50 years. The speech and hearing program at UNC was established by Dr. Robert Peters in 1969 in response to a need for well-educated professionals capable of successfully diagnosing and treating a broad array of communication disorders in children and adults. From its inception, the program has been committed to the highest standards of educational preparation for speech and language pathologists and audiologists, while providing vision and leadership for the broader profession. Established initially as the Institute for Speech and Hearing Sciences, the program became the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences in 1980 and is now one of 7 divisions in the School of Medicine's Department of Allied Health Sciences. Dr. Peters served as division director until 1981, when he was succeeded by Dr. Bruce Mahaffey from 1982 to 1985, by Dr. Thomas Layton from 1986 to 1993, by Dr. Jack Roush for the next 25 years, and now Dr. Sharon Williams for the last several years. Obviously, the program has been in great hands. Also, it is important to note that the department has been led by at least 2 speech and language pathologists, Dr. Lee McLean and Dr. David Yoder, both of whom contributed to the strength of the department and more specifically to the ongoing evolution of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. I know that this 50th celebration is about celebrating the past with a focus on the future, but I would be remiss if I did not mention the present. Everyone attending this evening knows about the major programs of study within the division: the undergraduate minor in Speech and Hearing Sciences, the Masters of Science in Speech-Language Pathology, the Doctor of Audiology, and the Doctor of Philosophy. At present, I am pleased and proud to share that the programs are ranked among some of the absolute best in the country. In particular, we are ranked number 5 in audiology and number 8 in speech and language pathology. These rankings by the U.S. News and World Report are truly amazing when you understand that there are over 300 institutions offering various degree programs in speech and hearing sciences. In addition to the outstanding performance in the educational arena and training the next generation of leaders in the fields of speech and hearing sciences, I also want to celebrate the division's strengths in research, competing successfully on the national stage for both research grants and training grants, and in the clinical arena with an outstanding audiology clinic, the Hearing and Communication Center, and other innovative clinical endeavors on the horizon. The division also enjoys key partnerships for research, student placements, and clinical outreach. None of these areas of excellence would have happened without the dedication of those before us, and importantly, those who are with us in the present. We continue to enjoy having the best faculty, we recruit the best students, and we provide one of the best educational experiences anywhere in the country. So, while we celebrate the past and look to the future, please take a moment to give your present program strong recognition and accolades as well. As an aside, I must say that maintaining your level of excellence during this period of COVID-19 also is a strong testament to your program dedication. I have been truly humbled by this from the faculty, students, and staff. As we look to the future of the division, I see the future as being blindingly bright. The vision of ASHA is making effective communication a human right, accessible, and achievable for all. Its mission is to empower and support audiologists, speech and language pathologists, and hearing scientists through advancing science, setting standards, fostering excellence, and clear advocacy. And it is blatantly clear to me that our division addresses all of that is stated in the mission and more. With nearly 10% of Americans having some form of a communication disorder and nearly 40 million Americans having some form of hearing loss, I suspect that we will be in business for at least another 50 years for sure, and quite frankly, leading the national landscape with respect to excellence and beyond. Once again, this degree of success and high level of excellence are due to your dedication and productivity, your longstanding relationships across the state and the country as a major program with a clear public mission, your amazing graduate students, your growing and quite frankly dedicated alumni base who are paying it forward in an exemplary fashion into your history of excellence. So, simply stated, congratulations on 50 wonderful years. While we celebrate this program on your golden anniversary, the Golden Jubilee, we will never forget the past, and at the same time, your ongoing evolution of the present is inspirational as we move toward the future. Success never comes in a day. It comes with strong determination, hard work, stick-to-itness, and steady leadership. And the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences is a beacon for success in all regards. With that said, please raise your glasses to the University of North Carolina Department of Allied Health Sciences Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences 50th anniversary. Congratulations on your past. Please celebrate the present and look forward to an incredible future, which I predict will be beyond excellent. Thank you, and now back to Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Steve. Next, you'll have the opportunity to hear from some of our students, some of our alumni, and from some of our faculty.
Hey, Philip, it's good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Lisa.
I've enjoyed serving on this 50th anniversary celebration committee with you and the others. And I think you and I are clinical faculty that are on this committee. And we're also both alums of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. When did you graduate?
2007 for me. How about you?
I was 1993, and in 1993, there were 2 degree programs in the division. They were both master's degrees, one in SLP and one in AUD. Now, do you have a master's in audiology?
We were the second cohort actually to start the AUD in audiology. So I have an AUD, but I think we were both in Wing D for the time that we were in school.
Yes, we were. All right. So we were still in Wing D of the medical school, which was originally constructed as a nurse's dormitory, believe it or not.
I did not know that.
And we were in the basement, which I don't think was ever living quarters, but we all have stories about the basement. And I know when I started as a part-time clinical faculty in 2001, I got to share an office with Dr. Robert Peters, who was the founder of the division 50 years ago. And he was retired, but he maintained an office, and we got to share that office. So that was a nice memory I have from Wing D.
Very nice, very nice. I remember going around Wing D, and I remember how all the faculty's office were all sort of in one big room, and it was sort of this really busy faculty workspace for audiology, and everyone was, typing away at their computers. And I remember also Dr. Peters. For a few years, I would see him in the halls and talk with him occasionally, and remember just what a kind and what a gentle presence he had, and what a great researcher he was. So
yeah,
really
and he was genuinely interested in every student, even the ones that weren't in his classes, and he liked learning the students' names, and so that he could greet them and have a short conversation with them. And at that time, we also had a very busy clinic in Wing D, and I supervised students in that clinic. And one of my clients had a fluency disorder, and that was one of Dr. Peters' specialties. So I remember consulting with him about what to do with this client, and we talked about some techniques, but then he wanted me to know that establishing a relationship with this client, a relationship of trust, was much more important than any technique I would do with the client. And I always remember that, and I feel like that's really honestly something that characterizes our division. Everyone is interested in the quality of life of the patients and clients we work with, and our colleagues
So
and
true.
our students.
So true. Absolutely. It's something we keep in mind all the time. And, you know, we're here reminiscing about Wing D and Dr. Peters and about the program. And it's one thing that we do when we think about this long 50-year history of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. And we think about why we're gathered here for this event that we welcome everyone to. And reminiscing is one of those beautiful and lovely things that we get to do about the time that we spent in those halls at Carolina. And for us, we share a nice memory of Dr. Peters and of Wing D. And it'll be interesting to talk to other people and see what their reminiscences are about the different places that they've been.
Yes, one of the things I really like about our division is that we're constantly evolving and growing and changing, and people like being innovative. And so we don't have that basement clinic anymore, but we do have a freestanding audiology clinic in the community now, and that's primarily where you are working, right?
That's right. That's right. I'm at the Hearing and Communication Center, and there are a lot of students across the years of more recent years where the Hearing Communication Center features very prominently in their reminiscences as well. And it's interesting to reminisce. It's also interesting to think about all the different things that we'll do during this event. We'll be reminiscing. We'll be cherishing some of those times and some of those people and some of those relationships. We'll be reconnecting. But along the theme of cherishing, what do you cherish about your time here?
Well, honestly, it's all about the people, because I was remembering a break room in Wing D where we would sometimes study or relax or eat or whatever. And so I have memories of that. And then also just reflecting that I'm still in contact with some of the people I graduated with. So, and we consult each other for different clinical questions, but also just staying in touch as friends. And so I feel really fortunate that many of my friends are speech language pathologists, some of whom I met in the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a wonderful time for to see those people again that we haven't seen in a while, and to see those people that we've kept those connections with, because we know there's both, because we come into contact with so many people. But this is a special time for reconnecting and seeing those old faculty members or classmates or professional colleagues or supervisors that you haven't seen in so many years. And so that's a unique thing that this event will bring. I think about some of my old classmates, and I can't wait to talk to them. I guess by the time you see this video, we'll have already talked to them in the social hour. But it's a great time to reconnect with everyone.
Yeah, and you're reminding me that in my role as clinical education coordinator, I have the luxury of working with a lot of our alumni who are master clinicians who supervise our students in clinical education settings. So that's definitely something I cherish about our program, is generating clinicians who want to give back to the profession and to our program by helping to train the next generations of students.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the next generation of students, I think that brings up a perfect segue into something else we'll be doing during this event, which is one of the reasons why we're gathered all here together is to reflect on the past, but to also see glimpses of what the future will bring, and to meet some of those students that are in the program now, to hear about what they're doing, how things have changed since we were in school, and what they're doing now and how that could be different, and what their possibilities are.
Yes, and one of the things I've been particularly enjoying over the last few years is that we've started collaborating with the International Student Services Office at UNC, and our students are matched up with international students, and they get a lot of opportunities for social communication and just learning about people from other countries, cultural and linguistic backgrounds. And I think that's helping our students to prepare to serve a more culturally and linguistically diverse population in general than we had in the US when I graduated in 1993. So many more of our students are bilingual and want to serve bilingual populations. So that's exciting too. And then now we have more clinicians in the community who are also bilingual. So that's a big demand in our field right now, is for more bilingual clinicians. And not just able to speak a second or third or multiple language, but to truly understand the cultural and linguistic differences that we might see in the people we work with.
It gives us the perfect opportunity to reflect on how the program has changed, how the world has changed, how training has changed, how seeing patients has changed, and how our students and our current training models are keeping up to date with those changes in this ever-changing environment that we're in.
Yeah, another exciting change in our program is that our students now complete research hours. And because we now have a PhD program, we have a lot of PhD students who are doing clinical research, and they will involve our master's students in those experiences. So they're getting more hands-on exposure to research, especially research that has clinical implications. So I think that's a very exciting change in the division since the 90s when I graduated.
That's awesome. We're changing and evolving as time goes on. We're updating our knowledge, we're updating our methods, and we're pushing ourselves and our patients and everyone into the future.
Yes, wow, this is making me even more excited than I was before we started talking. So you've reminded me of a lot of great things to be appreciative of in our workplace and as alums of the program, and people who get to interact with a lot of our current students and some of our former students who are in clinical roles. So I'm excited to hear more from others that are participating in this event.
Awesome, me too. So we would like to tell everyone out there to reflect, to cherish, to think about your legacy and the legacy of UNC, to reconnect with your peers, to update, and to glimpse the future throughout this event. And we hope you all have a wonderful time.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here celebrating the 50th anniversary of UNC's Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences program. My name is Elizabeth Martinez. I am not in Chapel Hill, unfortunately, but I'm with you guys in spirit. I am currently in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I was born and raised. I am working for a company called Bilingual Multicultural Services. It's a contracting company started by a wonderful SLP from Bolivia named Rosario Roman. I'm biased because she's also my mother. And I bring this up because if it wasn't for my mother and her mentor, Dr. Carol Westby, I would have never found myself at UNC, let alone the speech pathology field. So before I go into the program, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about me so that you might better understand how the program has impacted me, not only professionally, but personally and my family. I was born with bilateral atresia and have a moderate to profound hearing loss. I had a bone conduction hearing aid since about 4 months old, thanks to the innovation and perseverance of my mother, because at that time, the hearing devices were not easily adapted for 4 months old. I currently have a unilateral Baha implant that I've had since I was about 20 or so. I don't recall having any speech therapy, but my speech pathologist felt my mother did such a good job with me that she recommended my mother go into the field of speech pathology, which she eventually did. So early on, I had a really good solid foundation in place for when I started school. And since first grade, I was mainstreamed. And so that included having small classroom sizes, minimized ambient sound, dedicated teachers, and of course a dedicated family. So on paper, I looked fantastic. And I even went on to get a degree in fine arts and work in that field for a bit prior to the UNC program. But I was still struggling and was quite unaware that the most of my struggles was still related to the nature of my hearing loss. But I soon found myself taking classes for speech and hearing sciences. And one year, my mother called me from ASHA, and she said she has just visited the UNC booth and they are having a pediatric hearing grant for the incoming fall semester. As luck would have it, I applied and was accepted on that grant. One of the most profound experiences I had at the UNC program was going to disability services. They offered me what felt like a Christmas catalog of tools available to use during the graduate classes. And they listened to me as I explained limitations of some of the tools they offered and worked with me to find some solutions. They also didn't shame me when I didn't know answers to simple questions like, what works best for you? I felt supported. That may not seem like a big deal, but for me, it was huge. Up until that point, self-advocacy was something that was painful and shameful experience. As a person with a disability, I felt empowered. I felt validated, supported. I felt relief that maybe I could actually do this graduate program. That was probably the last time I felt relief because classes started shortly thereafter. But I did learn a lot from that moment. And that instigated many conversations and discussions, which would influence me as a clinician as well as personally. What became clear was that best practices had evolved since I was born and since my mother was in grad school. I gained a better insight to the nature of my own hearing loss, as well as hearing loss in general. And it answered questions that I didn't even realize I had about hearing loss. And while I was filtering the program through my own experiences, I began cultivating a framework incorporating what my family and I had missed out on and what we wished we had. I knew there had to be a way to incorporate validating and acknowledging a person with a disability, even if it was a mild case of CP, autism, or unilateral hearing loss. Because that was my truth. That was my experience. It was my family's experience. It was isolating, it was limiting, and exhausting. It was not having the language to help the professional conceptualize the difficulty of living with a disability because it was not severe enough in their current textbook. The counseling course taught by Dr. Williams and Johnny Sexton's The Care Project filled in the missing gaps for me and my family. I emerged from UNC knowing that my therapy would not only include comprehensive assessments, but also incorporate the person with a disability in their treatment plan, not limiting that to just one setting, like just in their home or just with their family or just in school, and also incorporating their family whenever possible. Having frequent discussions in hopes to reduce the stigmatism and shame that frequently goes along with having a disability, and making them truly be and feel like a true equal in their own treatment plan. I was fortunate enough after the UNC program to put my knowledge and experience to good use. Less than a month after graduation, I was in Italy doing my first international presentation for the IALP on theory of mind and deafness. I returned home shortly thereafter to work on a pilot program for autism with bilingual preschoolers. And after a few years, I accepted a position working with a former principal for the School for the Deaf as a deaf and hard of hearing liaison for the entire district of Santa Fe. Since then, I've also worked with PEI, Presbyterian Ear Institute, and a few other charter schools, working to improve the social and emotional academic environment for students with or without hearing loss. I would not have been able to do that supporting and driving change that was sought after by the administration, the districts, and the professionals had I not had a program that did the same thing for me. So I thank you. My family and I thank you.
Hi, this is Joe Hall, congratulating the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences on its 50th anniversary. I was an audiology student of Bob Peters in the late 1970s. I thought I'd just say a few words about Bob as one who knew him well. I did my master's thesis with him, saw him after that on many occasions when he was a visiting professor in Cambridge, England, and again when I was his colleague at UNC from 1986 until he passed away in 2011. I'll just talk about some of my experiences as a student. One memory is that after we worked long hours in the lab, he loved to tell stories. He hasn't told one in quite a while now, and I think he'd like me to relate a couple at this lovely occasion. Many of the stories were simple and sweet. As a young boy on his family farm in South Dakota, he rode his horse Sailor all over the countryside. One very hot summer day, when he was 9, he was on the private dirt road leading to his family farm and decided it would be nice and comfortable to ride naked for a while. So he removed his clothes and remounted Sailor. Just then the improbable happened, as a car with a family came driving up toward him. As the car approached, he grabbed Sailor's mane and swung himself to the side so that only a bare knee and calf were exposed. He said he learned a valuable lesson that day. Never ride a horse naked. I have followed that advice ever since. He related that several years later, he often traveled by hopping freight trains. He told me of ways to avoid the railway police, or failing to avoid them, talk your way out of being thrown off of the train. I never tried out any of these ideas. Some of Bob's exploits followed from the fact that he thought in different, non-linear ways, and most people who knew him would agree that this meant he was not always easy to follow right off the bat. He marched to his own drumbeat. But he not only thought differently, he was also creative and brilliant. I don't believe Bob ever had any fear of expressing a scientific opinion that went against the crowd. It isn't that he was a rebel or a contrarian, it's just that it never occurred to him that he should rein in his own unique ideas. He was the antithesis of groupthink. Perhaps his greatest lesson to his students was that the way to really get somewhere was not to follow the crowd, but to follow your own instincts and creativity, no matter what others might think. To sum up, Bob Peters was a very unique man. He was a great mentor and a great friend. Thank you.
50 years. That's amazing. My name is Tahisha Bishop, lead speech language pathologist for Durham Public Schools here in Durham, North Carolina, and alumna of UNC Chapel Hill's undergraduate class of 1999 from the School of Education, and alumna of the class of 2001 from UNC Chapel Hill's Speech and Hearing Sciences. I am so honored to be a part of this momentous celebration. 50 years, a golden anniversary. But more so, I have been privileged to be a part of the ever exceptional work and influence your program produces. My graduate years at Carolina helped me realize my dream of being a speech-language pathologist, but I could not have imagined that it would have provided such rich experiences both in my life and my career past my 2001 graduation. I have benefited from the extraordinary gold standard professional development Carolina Speech and Hearing Sciences sponsors for SLPs across the state of North Carolina, from AAC to bilingual institutes. I have been able to give back by serving as a preceptor and graduate student supervisor for rising SLPs. I've been able to share my passion and expertise as a school-based SLP with undergraduate and graduate classes. I've partnered with fellow graduates, Dr. Thomas Page and Jamel Solomon. I've even traveled with Lisa Dombey and Kathy Davis to Guatemala for a summer study abroad in 2013. Believe it or not, the most fulfilling and surprising of it all has been being embraced by such magnificent practitioners as a colleague. Those were the words Dr. Linda Watson spoke to me at an initial event. To be thought of and encouraged by Dr. Betsy Cray, to work with and dialogue with Lisa Dombey across decades, and to have such a great ongoing mentorship with my former professor, Dr. Brenda Mitchell. I'm amazed and blessed. I couldn't have imagined my time at Carolina as a graduate student would have grown into such golden opportunities and golden moments. Carolina helped me prepare not just for my career, but for being mentored and being a mentor. Not just for being a professional, but being passionate about my profession. Not just learning, but being a lifelong learner. Carolina, your partnerships and your vision as a department are remarkable. You truly are the gold standard, and how fitting for your 50th and golden anniversary. So here's to another 50 years of innovation in and out of the classroom, far-reaching partnerships across the state, the country, and the world. Here's to positive impact for the people of North Carolina. Here's to leadership that unlocks limitless potential in both your graduate students and your clients. Here's to exceptional programming. Here's to diversity in thought and culture, experience and practice. Here's to vision for the future, and most of all, here's to communication for all. Cheers, Carolina, and here's to another 50 years.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Winslow, and I'm so happy to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences with you this afternoon. I graduated with the first cohort of AUD students in 2006. Following graduation, I joined the faculty as an assistant professor and the coordinator of clinical education. I enjoyed 8 wonderful years before relocating to the eastern part of the state. I'm currently practicing in the Greenville VA Healthcare Center, where I hold a dual appointment as both Chief of Audiology and Speech Pathology, as well as the Director of Education. I also hold an adjunct appointment with ECU, where I teach Amplification 1 and 2 in their AUD program in the fall and spring semesters. Being a graduate of UNC and later being on faculty, I've been able to see the program through many different angles, and I'm so proud to call myself a Tar Heel. I'm confident that my growth and success within the field of audiology can be directly tied to the education that I received through the UNC Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. I hold fond memories of taking my first ear mold impression with Deb Weisletter in AMP1, figuring out the conundrum of bilateral conductives and learning how to do a stinger with Martha Mundy, exploring the pediatric population with Drs. Pat and Jack Roush, and learning the ins and outs of business from Steph Schoblatt at the UNC Hearing and Communication Center. I also recall the unparalleled clinical experiences that we were surrounded by in the Triangle area. What I later learned as the coordinator of clinical education is that the success of a clinical training program relies not only on the talented in-house staff, but also on its community partners and affiliates. The Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences is ideally located in the midst of 3 major medical centers and offers clinical education that is second to none. If you ask me to think of a word that describes the faculty in the program at UNC, the word that continues to come to my mind is family. The professors and the faculty went well and beyond teaching in the classroom environment. They taught me and my fellow classmates how to be successful audiologists, but they also taught us to be professionals, how to go after our dreams, how to lobby for growth in our profession, and how important it is to be active at the local, state, and national level for our organizations. The program truly delivers ideal, well-rounded graduates who are passionate about the field of audiology and committed to the profession. Years later, being in the role that I am right now, I continue to see the care and the commitment from the talented faculty and staff. Now, as a hiring official, I always light up when I see Doctor of Audiology from UNC Chapel Hill on an applicant's resume, because I know that they were trained by the best of the best and had wonderful clinical experiences. I'm truly thankful for the 12 years that I spent within the walls of the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. I'm also thankful for the opportunity to speak to the great nature of the program today. Keep up the good work, Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. I hope to celebrate with you again in another 50 years.
Hi, alumni and donors. My name is Katie Sobin, and I'm a second-year Doctor of Audiology student. Thank you so much for your contributions, big and small. Every little bit helps offset the high cost of the audiology program and other related costs. We appreciate you, and I'm so thankful for you. Stay safe.
Hey everyone, my name is Clay Haddon. I graduated from the program in 2006, so I've been a speech pathologist for 14 years now, which is totally crazy. Yeah, I mean, almost 2 decades of this, right? That's kind of nuts. I had a wonderful experience at Chapel Hill. You know, when you're applying to grad schools, you have your grad schools that you're like, I think I can get in here, and then you have your schools, your programs that you're like, this is like, I'm going to cross my fingers. This is like my dream school. And I was lucky enough to get accepted to my dream school. Chapel Hill obviously influenced my career in an academic sense, but also just in a foundational sense of what it's like to work with others. We had a very close-knit class, and there wasn't a lot of competitiveness there. And I think that really just, for me anyway, it shaped the way that I am now doing things, where it's more collaborative. And I own my own practice now, and I have some employees, but we try to have an environment where it's collaborative, where we're not trying to worry too much about getting all the patients in Charleston County. We want to refer to people who are better at us in some things, and we want to have the reputation of send us this particular type of individual and we can work with them. So that's one way that it's really kind of shaped my future. I think flexibility would be the other thing that I learned in grad school. This maybe not like a textbook thing. 2020 has shown us that flexibility is super important. During the first really 2 months of the COVID crisis in South Carolina, we weren't approved for teletherapy. So most of us were just kind of floating for a while. After about 3 weeks of sitting in my office wondering what was going to happen, I started just trying to be inventive and flex some muscles that I hadn't used in a long time. And I started a YouTube channel that's AAC focused, but learning focused and early language focused. And I started publishing videos, and the responses that I've gotten have been amazing and a huge blessing and very humbling. And that creativity and that flexibility was all stuff that Chapel Hill really encouraged in us as grad students, I think. Now I'm in a position where I was just serving through our little clinic here that I started 8 years ago, that we were just servicing Charleston County and a couple counties around it. And now we're getting phone calls from people in Brazil and Bangladesh, all just based on the social media stuff that we put out and the stuff that we put out on YouTube. And it's been incredible, and I'm excited to see what comes of it in the next couple years. As far as, let's see, the second question was, there's a couple questions. Okay, share memories from Chapel Hill. Okay, 2 memories. One of them is a good memory. I guess they're both good memories, but one of them is the trip that a bunch of my classmates and I took to ASHA in San Diego. It was just so much fun. There were so many highlights. I remember just enjoying myself, having a really good time, sleeping on a very hard floor in a Holiday Inn Express because we were all poor graduate students trying to save a buck. That was amazing. Another funny moment was my first year there, Chapel Hill's basketball team made it to the playoffs, and we also had a big neuro test the day after one of the games. I don't know if it was the Sweet 16 or the Final Four or something. We had a test afterwards, and I remember that we were at a bar, and I had not had anything to drink. I had studied already, but I went out afterwards to watch the game. I put on a blue wig, and I was yelling at the TV, and I guess the news did a pan of the restaurants there on the main drag, and I was visible in one of them. And the next day, our teacher asked us how studying went. She asked me specifically, and I said it went really well. She goes, great, because I saw you on the news last night. And that's how I remember that story. I don't know if she would remember that, but I have never forgotten that story of being, I wanted everybody to know I did study. I think that's the big takeaway, is I did study, but also I watched the basketball game. As far as challenges with my career, I mean, I thought a year ago I would have said things like learning how billing works, learning how to run a business, and those things are all challenges, but really the biggest challenge that I've ever had is how to survive and reach people and do all of this during a pandemic. I mean, this year has been crazy. I mean, obviously, yes, there's been other challenges that I can think of, but this year's been all the challenges. Parenting, my wife and I have 3 kids, so raising those 3 kids, homeschooling them while we both work, start a business, and try not to leave the house has been, I feel like harrowing is a dramatic word, but I think that a lot of people would agree. It's just been an interesting year. So as far as biggest challenges go, just learning what looks normal now, and yeah, that's been tough. As far as rewards, I think I said a minute ago, but reaching people that I didn't think that I would ever, from my little office, be able to reach. That's amazing. The opportunities to talk to people via WhatsApp in Brazil and Bangladesh and a variety of other countries, and just talk to different schools and teachers and institutions just about what it is that we've been doing here in Charleston has been, mind-blowing. Everybody's been so kind and nice, and I wasn't really expecting all of the positive feedback for the Mr. Clay stuff. So I guess I should say subscribe to Mr. Clay on YouTube. You don't have to, but now that's part of something that I have to say. Anyway, yeah, all of that being said, Chapel Hill was my foundation. It was my dream school. I was lucky enough to get in it. And I truly don't think that I would be where I'm at right now had it not been for Chapel Hill. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great virtual 50-year celebration. Here's the 50 more, and maybe the next one we do, we can be in person. All right, take care. Bye.
Hello, my name is Frances Burns. I graduated from UNC in 1992 with a master's degree in speech and hearing sciences. I'm so excited to join in the 50th year celebration for the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences. I was asked to tell a little bit about my experiences while I was there, and I thought, well, of course, my training was superb. I completed a specialized training in the birth to 5 population, and almost 30 years later, early intervention is what I love to do and what I love to teach. But what I'm most grateful for when I attended the program is the support that I got from the faculty. Everyone goes through tough times in their lives, and one of the toughest times in my life occurred while I was in the program. It was so tough that I considered leaving the program. I'm so fortunate that all of my instructors in the division encouraged me to stay. They actively encouraged me and actively supported me. I'm particularly grateful for the support that I received from Drs. Melody Harrison, Jackson Roush, and Betsy Cray. I recall Jack saying to me that a master's degree in speech-language pathology would take me places that I couldn't imagine at that time. Well, he was so right. I earned my doctorate from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and from there I taught and worked all around the country and the world, including South Africa, South Korea, and Saudi Arabia. I'm currently a department chair, and I hope that I am providing the same kind of support for our students. I hope that I'm paying it forward. And I couldn't do that without the support that I got while I was there at UNC Chapel Hill. So congratulations to the division, and best of luck as you move forward. Thank you.
In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moon shining? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun. You best walk her way and watch it shine. Watch her watch the morning come. A silver tear appearing, now I'm crying. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. There ain't no doubt in no one's mind that love's the finest thing around. Whisper something soft and kind. And hey babe, the sky's on fire, I'm dying. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moon shining? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me. Still I'm on the dark side of the moon, and it seems like it goes on and on forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moon shining? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. Going to Carolina in my mind. Going to Carolina in my mind. Going, oh no. Saying nice things about me 'cause I'm gone south now. Carry on.
Hey, my name is Kayla Thomas, and I'm a second-year graduate student studying speech-language pathology here at UNC. I remember back in 2019 when I was first accepted to this amazing university. I was beyond ecstatic. And then when I took my first visit to this beautiful campus, I felt so welcomed by this amazing Carolina community, and I couldn't feel more like at home. However, while UNC was my #1 choice of a university to attend to attain my master's degree, this was also going to be a pricey one. Being an out-of-state student from Atlanta, Georgia, the cost to attain a master's degree in speech-language pathology was an outstanding one. But thanks to your generosity and continuous donations towards scholarship funds, I was granted the opportunity to come to my dream university. Being at Carolina, I've had so many opportunities granted to me and unique experiences that I couldn't obtain anywhere else. I've had unique clinical rotations at the Craniofacial Center and the Carolina Institute for Developmental Disabilities. I've also been able to be a part of some amazing research opportunities, as well as undergo some research of my own that was eventually accepted into the ASHA Convention of 2020 that was unfortunately canceled. I just want to let you know that every donation, no matter how big or small, gives every student like me an opportunity to be a part of such an amazing university and brings in students of all different diverse backgrounds to be a part of the Tar Heel family. Thank you so much, and go Heels!
Good evening. I'm Linda Watson, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to share some of my story with you tonight, including telling you why I have 3 connections to the Division of Speech and Hearing Sciences, as an alumna, as a faculty member, and as a donor. I was a non-traditional master's student in speech-language pathology in 1988 to 89, not only because I was older than the usual student, but also because of my academic path. I had earned a doctorate in applied psycholinguistics from Boston University in 1979, and when I returned to North Carolina, I took a position with Teach Division, which is a statewide program for individuals with autism. Now, this was a great fit for my interest in children with autism, but it did not provide me with an academic home for the career that I knew I wanted to pursue. So by 1988, I had concluded that the key for me to finding my right academic home was to get a master's degree in speech-language pathology, and that brought me to the division as a student. Shortly after I had graduated, there was an opening in the division for a clinical faculty member to primarily supervise students working with children. I jumped at that chance, and I've been a member of the division faculty ever since. As a faculty member, I've been able to pursue my passions for providing clinical services and conducting research to understand and develop interventions for children with developmental disabilities, especially for children with autism. I've also learned what compassionate and smart people seek to enter our professions, and how much I love mentoring these students, first as a clinical supervisor and later as a researcher. In short, I can't imagine having had a more rewarding career than the one I've been able to have here. As people in this gathering know, the division has long succeeded in recruiting and enrolling excellent students. An additional goal is that these excellent students will bring a diversity of perspectives, backgrounds, and identities to our professions. This goal is particularly close to my heart. So in 2007, I approached our department's development officer about establishing a diversity scholarship in speech-language pathology, and I've been contributing to that scholarship fund for more than a decade. I am immensely grateful for this opportunity to not only support our students, but also to enhance the quality of our professions. During my 11 and a half years as a student in higher education, I never incurred any long-term debt for my educational expenses due to family support, scholarships, and part-time work, but mostly due to the fact that higher education was simply more affordable in the past. In my 30 years as a faculty member, I've come to the painful awareness that most students across all three of our programs today are not nearly so fortunate. We often advise potential applicants to our programs to not say in their personal statements that they are interested in becoming a speech-language pathologist or an audiologist because they want to help people. The reason for this perhaps odd-sounding advice is that such statements fail to discriminate one applicant for another. Instead, wanting to help people is a value that binds all of us together. I hope my story will prompt you to think about the power you have, not only through your professional pursuits, but also through giving to the division to help people with hearing and communication challenges far into the future. By giving to support our students, you guarantee that the division's legacy of preparing exceptional clinicians, professional leaders, teachers, and researchers will continue, even when we find ourselves in times of unprecedented challenges. Making a gift to support our students is simply a great way to celebrate this landmark 50th anniversary. Happy anniversary to all of us.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening to celebrate our 50th anniversary. It's much needed work that you do, and it's much needed work that we do. Thank you for providing that work, and thank you for supporting that work. It's been our joy to host this evening. Please do stay in contact